Yo, what is going on, guys? Welcome back to another video. Today we're breaking down the full card of Pantoja versus Asakura, sorry. Main event was Belal Muhammad versus Rakhmonov, but obviously Belal Muhammad's pulled out with a toe infection, and UFC has made a new co-main event with Rakhmonov versus Machado Garry for the #1 contender fight against Belal Muhammad. So first up on this card here, we've got Kennedy Nzechukwu versus Brzeski. Kennedy's a late replacement too in this fight. There's a lot of cancellations on this fight too. But with this matchup here, Kennedy has moved up in heavyweight, and he has, in his last fight, he beat Chris Barnett with a body kick. But also Chris Barnett injured himself. He got some sort of leg injury in that fight, and Kennedy done the job. So Kennedy's more of a guy. He stays in range, uses his reach pretty well, jabs and 1-2, a lot of straight shots, chopping that league leg as well, and also he does clinch a bit too. I haven't really seen his clinching in the heavyweight. Obviously, it's only been one fight. But he does clinch and use a lot of knees and elbows as well. He's got some good takedown defense, but I don't think that will come into play with this matchup here with Łukasz Brzeski. He's not that great. Like, yes, he had a win against Valter Walker. I was quite surprised. And Mick Parson, he got TKO'd, so he's quite small for a heavyweight too, Łukasz Brzeski. He's just more of a guy staying in range, targets the legs. Does get countered a fair bit too, does a lot of openings to get countered, and uses his jab pretty well. But again, like I said, offensively he's okay, but defensively gets tagged up a lot. So like I said, very small for a heavyweight too. I do think that he should try to cut down to light heavyweight, but maybe might struggle. He is 6 foot at the end of the day, so yeah, that's quite big. So yeah, the reach advantage goes to Kennedy as well, 8-3 to 7-8. And people are saying Kennedy might knockout here, 96% and 4% Brzeski. So I think a knockout will come too. Next up, we have Guida versus Chase Hooper. With this matchup here, Clay's obviously quite old as well. He's coming off 2 losses there. Very heavy underdog as well, plus 500. That's crazy. The Clay Guida, he's been around for a while in the UFC, 42 years old, and kind of off 2 losses. Joaquim Silva, he lost to Rafa Garcia. He had a win against Scott Holtzman, split decision a while ago, and before that, yeah, he's just way past his prime now. And he even got submitted in a grappling match against Chase Hooper as well. Look, he's more of a guy comes forward, very aggressive with his striking, does get hit a lot too, and he does look for takedowns, and he does pretty good with his takedowns as well when he puts up some good scraps and uses a lot of ground and pound. So he's got some good grappling and good takedowns, but I feel like he's going to get submitted in this fight as well against Chase Hooper. Chase Hooper's striking's got a lot better too. He's on a 3-fight win streak here. Beat Levitt, Nick Fuero, and Boyshev's actually not a bad pickup win for Chase Hooper. He's still quite young, 25 years old, but his striker's definitely got better. Like I said, stays in range, uses some low kicks, and uses jab well. Pops at 1-2. Yeah, he's more measured now with his striking, so he's definitely cleaned that up and very good with his getting takedowns and the grappling. So he's becoming more of a well-rounded fighter as time goes by, and very good with his jiu-jitsu on the ground. So I think I think the fight will hit the ground. I think Chase Hooper will submit Clay Guida here. So 95% are going to go Clay. 95% are going with Hooper and 5% with Guida. And I'm going to go with Hooper as well. Next up, we've got Michael Chiesa versus Max Griffin. With this matchup here, Michael Chiesa was on a big losing streak. He lost to Vicente Luque, Darce choke, Sean Brady decision, and he lost to Kevin Holland. He got dropped in that fight, I'm pretty sure, and then he just kind of folded in that fight, and then he got submitted. And he submitted Tony Ferguson, completely washed up. So he's a slight underdog. Going against someone like Max Griffin. Look, Max Griffin does get taken down, but he does well to actually get up on his feet as well. He was taken down the last fight a couple of times as well against Jeremy Wells. Striking wise, I feel like he does have the edge in the striking. I do think that he will use his jab well, and he's got some decent head movement. And he will target the legs as well. So a lot of good jab, nice straight shots there. But he does get tagged up a bit himself as well, even though he's got a decent guard. But Michael Chiesa here is more of a guy that stays on range and constant circles on the outside with his striking. Be interesting if Max Griffin does cut off that cage and gets Michael Chiesa out there. So a lot of people are going to go with Michael Chiesa in the 69%. I understand that he's a younger guy as well in this matchup here. 37 years old, 39 is 39. Max Griffin is pushing 39 as well, but I'm going to go with Max Griffin, but I'll 31% with the community here. I know 69 are going Chiesa, but yeah, I feel like Max could get it done, but at the same time, anything can happen. Michael Chiesa could get this fight on the ground and use his grappling and ride a decision win with a nice little boring grappling fight, but anything can happen in the UFC. So low confidence pick here. I wouldn't be surprised if Max Griffin does lose and gets out grappled in this fight, but I'm gonna go with Max Griffin in this fight here. Next up, we've got Cody Durden versus Joshua Van. This matchup here, Cody Durden's coming off a win. He lost to Bruno Silva. That's right. I picked him against Bruno Silva in that not the last fight, the 2 fights ago, and he got TK'd. So Cody Durden here, as much as he's a pressure forward striker, he does get tagged up a lot himself as well, but he'd be more looking for getting takedowns and try to control the fight on the ground and get some submissions. And so he's more of a grappler than a striker, but he does always surprise us in this weight class, to be honest. Like that Jake Hadley, I was surprised he got that win. Jake Hadley's now got cut from the UFC. Tagir lost and Bruno lost, and Matt Chanel, he had a win, but Matt Chanel's pretty shy, and I think he's just retired himself as well. So with this matchup here, I feel like Joshua Van does have the edge on the striking. He's a better striker in this matchup, but he does get taken down a fair bit himself as well. He did lose to Charles Johnson. Charles Johnson got knocked out with there. Had a massive scrap with Edgar Chairez on the Sean O'Malley versus Merab card. So I feel like, I do think Joshua Van is a better striker in this one. But yeah, he does have some takedown. He does get taken down a bit. So the takedown defense, there's some holes there as well. When he does overextend his combinations, he does get taken down, but he does well to get up on his feet at times. But Cody Durden is a very good grappling wrestler, but coming out of American top team as well. So, but I'm gonna go with Joshua Van in this fight. 17% going Durden and 83% Joshua Van. But Durden's gonna be that guy. It's a nice test for Joshua Van as well, but Cody is that type of guy to get some upset wins as well. So Joshua Van is the pick. Next up the card here, we have Chris Weidman versus Eryk Anders. We did break this fight down, I think it was like a couple of weeks ago, last week. Chris Anders ended up getting sick and the fight was cancelled. And they rescheduled it again. This is just a shit fight, man. Like, I don't even want to break this down, to be honest, again. Look, he's coming up a win. Chris Weidman, eye poke. Bruno Silva, he could have won there. He had a couple of losses before that. Brad Tavares, Uriah Hall snapped his leg in that fight with the Uriah Hall one. But he's just washed, man. Like, it's just typical striking. Like, it's just boring point fighting. Chris Weidman, like, he's just old now, 40 years old. Looks slow and sluggish with his striking as well. And he's more of a wrestler, you'll know that as well. But this is an old man fight. Like, Eryk Anders looks ass too, and his last win was against Jamie Pickett, but Pickett's ass too. I don't think Pickett's even in the UFC, to be honest. But Eryk Anders is more of a guy that's just pressure striking. Like, he'll pressure his opponents by circling them, try to cut off the cage, and do some leg kicks and pops on 1-2s and grapples on the cage as well. Tries to look for takedowns occasionally. So it's I don't even care who wins this fight, to be honest. Like, it's such a shit fight. People at 28%, Anders 72%. I'm gonna go with Weidman because of the experience and shit. Both guys, and Anders is a younger guy. Like he might even get this win, but I just don't care. Look, Chris Weidman's a pick here. If I was a betting man, I'll stay away from that fight. It's just both guys are just on the back end of their career. Next up, we've got Randy Brown versus Bryan Battle. This is gonna be a good fight. Randy Brown, he's known for his striking. He does very well using that jab and the low kicks and popping that. He's got a nice right power behind his right hand too. He's racked up a nice little win streak. Wellington Turman, Muslim Salikov has knocked him out, and Alesia Zaleski. He's a moderate underdog. He did get beaten by JDM as well, submitted. But yeah, he's had a tough time cracking that top 15. I think he was in the top 15 when JDM beat him, but I wasn't too sure. With this matchup here, I think Bryan Battle is just gonna find a way on the inside. And I did pick Kevin Hoosier against him. I don't know why, but TKO. But Bryan Battle's well rounded. He's coming off the Ultimate Fighter with the Volkanovski versus Ortega. And he's just doing well since he's coming off the season as well. So he's a very good fighter, more pressure fighter. He'll overwhelm. He'll get into that clinch, tight clinch, use knees, elbows, and uses grappling against the fence and really put the cardio, really put the pressure on by doing a lot of dirty boxing on the inside. And yeah, he's good on the ground too. So he's very well rounded with his on the ground game too. But I think he's gonna find a way to get in there and over pressure Randy Brown, but you just can't let Randy Brown, you know, get comfortable off the bat and set up his shots and stay in range. He's gonna have to try to get inside and make it a dirty fight, and I think he will. Bryan Battle. So Bryan Battle, 81%, 64% TKO, 90% Brown, and I'm gonna go Bryan Battle too. So yeah, Bryan Battle's a pick here. Next up, we've got on the prelim here, Movsar Evloev versus Aljamain Sterling. With this matchup here, both guys are pretty well rounded, but I feel like Movsar Evloev is going to have the edge on striking. I feel like he's going to be the better striker in this matchup. Very good with his grappling as well, and last fight could have went either way with Allen. I know people thought Allen won, but Movsar was kind of putting two hands on the ground too a lot there in that fight, so those rules have changed where you can throw the knee as well. Aljamain does that a lot to himself. So Aljamain Sterling, he's coming up a win against Calvin Kattar. Calvin Kattar just could not stop his takedowns. Aljamain's more going to be on the striking. He's a lot more kick heavy and uses a lot of side kicks too. Creates different angles, so he does have decent footwork as well, but he didn't really show that in the last showcase. It was just more closing the distance to get the takedowns. But again, going against a grappler like well-rounded fighter like Movsar Evloev, he's a younger guy too, 30 years old, while Aljamain is pushing 36, and his only loss was Sean O'Malley. It's going to be a close fight. It's only 3 rounds as well. It would have been like, I know a lot of people don't like this type of matchup, but I was quite interested to see this in 5 rounds and see what's going to be dominant on the ground there towards the later rounds or even the striking. So I understand UFC is not a favorite. UFC does not like either fighter, which is understandable. But yeah, I'm gonna go Movsar Evloev. I feel like his striking is gonna be better in this fight too. And yeah, he's dug deep. Even the Lopez fight, it was a short notice, but he dug deep to get that win. So 65% Evloev, 35% Sterling. And Sterling is getting a little bit older too, but you can't underestimate him. But most of those wins are notable in the bantamweight division and not the featherweight. But I think he's going to get stopped in this fight, to be honest. And I think he might lose by decision. He probably won't get knocked out, but I think he'll lose by decision. Next up, we've got Vicente Luque versus Themba Gorimbo. With the matchup here, Vicente Luque was supposed to fight Nick Diaz, but that fell apart like we all expected. We don't know where Nick Diaz, why he's still fighting, why he's still taking matchups, what is going on in his life. I don't know. Don't really care. I just hope he's well. That's it. So with Vicente Luque, he's coming off a loss against Joaquin Buckley. He had a win over Rafael Dos Anjos. Dos Anjos is completely washed right now. Got knocked out by Jeff Neal and Bilal Muhammad. I feel like Vicente Luque just hasn't been the same since he had that brain bleed, and he's just all over the shop. Look, that fight with RDA, yeah, it was a close fight, but it's still not a good look with someone that's a veteran in the sport. But again, RDA was no pusher, but right now he's definitely washed. He's more of a guy that will take out a lot of unranked guys that are washed themselves. So, look, Vicente Luque just does not look good. Like, he's more of a striker, but he got cleaned up and knocked out by Buckley pretty bad. And he's got decent grappling and whatnot, but I don't think none of that's really going to do much against Themba. Themba's hungry. He's the same age, but he hasn't been as in many wars compared to Vicente Luque. He's more got a younger career in the UFC compared to Luque as well. So Gorimbo here is coming off a 4-fight win streak. Nico Price, Brahimaj, Pete Rodriguez, and Sato. So most of these guys don't really have takedown defense either. So Gorimbo's very tall guy for the division. He does have the reach advantage 2x7'7", but he's got the height advantage of 6'1". He's going to use his jab and a lot of straight shots and target those leg kicks as well. And he'll be targeting to grapple against Vicente Luque on the cage and try to get takedowns and use a lot of ground and pound as well in this matchup. I think he's just going to overwhelm Vicente Luque there. And I think he's going to have the better hand speed as well. And when he's really snappy with his leg kicks to Themba Gorimbo. So I'm going to pick Themba Gorimbo here, 74%, 26% going to go with Luque. I just don't think Luque is the same anymore. I think he's starting to get a bit past it now, especially since that brain bleed. But yeah, you never know. But yeah, Themba Gorimbo is a pick there. Next up here with Anthony Smith versus Dominick Reyes. This is also a matchup where both guys aren't looking too great in their careers, even though Dominick Reyes did get the win. He did look decent against Jacoby. I'm glad he got that win, and I'm glad he proved me wrong with that fight, because before that he was on a nice little losing streak there. So Anthony Smith here doesn't look good himself. He lost to a blown up Roman Dolidze. Dolidze was a light heavyweight fight. Dolidze is more of a middleweight, but he fought at light heavyweight on short notice and just stayed in range and picked Anthony Smith apart with the striking, and Anthony Smith just looks fucking horrible in that fight. Same with Vito Petrino, pulled off a submission. Got not finished by Khalil Roundtree. Split with Ryan Spann. Lost to Johnny Walker. Like, fucking Jesus. He's way past it right now, 36-year-old. But he's been around. He's had a lot of fights in general in MMA. Like 37 wins and 20 losses. That's a lot of fights on your career. So he just does not look good in the striking. He's been getting tagged up a lot. Even the last fight, he was struggling just to close the distance on Roman Dolidze. Dolidze was constantly just picking him apart with leg kicks and striking, and it was a boring fight, and it's constantly circling on the outside, and Anthony Smith had no idea how to cut that cage off. He was just constantly following him around. And even with this fight here, I think Dominick is going to counter him and knock him out in this fight. I think there'll be a TKO. Even because Anthony Smith just doesn't pose a threat. Like, he just doesn't look good right now. He might get a submission over Dominick Reyes. You never know. He's good with jiu-jitsu. He could pull off a fluke submission win, but who knows? But Dominick Reyes, he's more of a guy who'll stay on range and uses jab, leg kicks, and look for the counters and try to knock out Anthony Smith. His takedown defense is good as well. But yeah, we never know. Anthony Smith could nah, he couldn't. He can't. Nah. I shouldn't say he has a chance or could. Nah, he won't. So I'm gonna get Dominick Reyes by TKO as well. 90% going Dominick Reyes, 10% Smith. But if Dominick Reyes loses this, I'll be so mad. The Reyes is the pick here. Next up, we've got Nate Landwehr versus Ho Choi. Making a bit of a comeback now, the Korean Superboy. Went a bit missing there for a bit. He was on a 3-fight losing streak as well. Nate Landwehr here, Nate the Train. His only notable loss was against Dean Ego, which is fair. You know, that's top 15 guy as well. Knocked out Jamal Emmers. In that fight against Jamal Emmers, he didn't look as reckless, but he still managed to get damaged in that fight. He had a cut as well. So Nate the Train, he's quite reckless on the striking. But last fight he was more composed. He's a jab real well, and a lot of the straight shots. So he didn't get too reckless and turn into a war like he has in his last fight. I think it was, who was it? David Onama, that's right. That was a fucking war. They were just tied at the end of it, and just, yeah, they left their souls in that ring. It was just a complete war in that fight. So, look, a composed Nate Landwehr does look good. Nate the Train did look good in the last fight, and he did knock out Emmers. He's very good striking, and uses a jab pretty well, and stays at range, and he didn't get into wars. He's also good with getting, like, just setting up takedowns as well, but he didn't really. He's more of a guy that likes to strike as well and try to get the fight at the ground. But against Ho Choi, I do think he should get target some takedowns, because Ho Choi was taken down a fair bit too against Bill Algeo in the last fight, but Bill Algeo does get knocked out a bit too in his career. He got counted in that fight, so Ho Choi, he's also good at, like, targeting the legs as well, and then setting up his right hand on the openings there. And that's how he got Algeo out of there, with that right hand. So he's very good with his jab himself too. Very good with pressure striking. So, but again, he does get taken down in his fights too. But I'm gonna go with Nate Landwehr, Nate the Train here, by knockout, or even a decision win over Choi. But yeah, Landwehr has, if he gets into a massive scrap, he may get knocked out himself. Oh, I probably won't get knocked out, but he might lose a decision. It turns into a war. But I think it'll be fine. So 75% Landwehr and 25% going Choi. Choi does have the knockout power, and he could get it done. But yeah, I wouldn't count Choi out as well. So, but Nate Landwehr was a pick here for me. Next up, we've got Bryce Mitchell versus Kron Gracie. This is another disgusting matchup. I didn't even know Kron Gracie was still in the UFC until I saw the announcement. I think they made the announcement when Jones was fighting, but yeah, I was just like, what the fuck, man. So Bryce Mitchell's coming off a knockout loss against Josh Emmett. He had a win over Dan Ige. Ilya Topuria submitted Barboza, and win against Philly. So Kron Gracie, Bryce Mitchell, he'd probably be the better striker. Kron's striking his ass. And he was even taken down against Jourdain in that last fight, and he just couldn't do nothing off his back, much as he's good with his jiu-jitsu and is known for his BJJ. But he was just fucking trash, man. He's just a trash fighter. He's not even an MMA fighter. He should stick to grappling, to be honest. He hasn't even improved, so, but he might prove me wrong here. Who fucking knows? But even like before that fight, like against Jourdain, he had 5 years. Well, 4 years, let's say, to improve, but he did not improve. He still looked ass. The ass striker does get tagged up a fair bit. He even rushed in to try to grapple there on the fence against Charles Jourdain, but he was taken down a fair bit. And the same with Bryce Mitchell. Like, you know, as much as he'd be targeting a lot of side kicks and low kicks and uses his jab, he's more of a guy that will more look for the openings to get takedowns. He did that against Barboza, and he's going to do the same shit. The blueprint's right there. When he fought Jourdain, Kron Gracie, and Bryce Mitchell will do that. He'll be looking for the opening for the takedowns, try to get the fight to the ground. Kron Gracie didn't do well off his back in the last fight, so bit of ground and pound there for Bryce Mitchell to even just turn this into a boring fight to a decision, or it gets to finish here against Kron Gracie with ground and pound. Probably won't submit Kron Gracie, but he will be landing a lot of ground and pound, so 5% Gracie, 95% Mitchell, and I'm going to go with Mitchell too. I think this is a terrible matchup for Kron Gracie. Next up on the main card, we've got Ciryl Gane versus Alexandre Volkov, a rematch again. Look, yeah, Gane is just not as active anymore like he used to. More active guy right now is Alexander Volkov, but this is a rematch. Gane picked Volkov apart in the last fight. Last time they were matched up, targeting the leg kicks and using a lot of side kicks, and he had good footwork and used his jab well. Yeah, other than that, his takedown defense obviously been exposed against Nagano, and he was taken down by Jones. And his last notable wins against Tuivasa, but he got dropped in that fight too, which wasn't a good look against someone that's quite sluggish. Had a TKO win against Sergey, so yeah, I don't know. Like, it's just gonna be the same shit. Volkov in his last fight, even though he got the win against Sergey Pavlovich, he's more of a guy that stays on the back foot and constantly staying out in range and circling. He's a kickboxer himself as well. But I don't know if this fight is gonna hit the ground unless Garner just turns around and starts shooting takedowns, but he hasn't shot a takedown for how many years? Yeah, it's just gonna be a standoff fight, and I think it's just gonna be a kickboxing fight. It's gonna be quite the same as the first one. I'll be quite surprised if Volkov pulls this win off, but I think Garne's footwork and I think he's gonna have the faster hands too in this fight compared to Volkov. But 90 to 62% gonna go Gane, 38 with Volkov, and I'm gonna go Gane as well. But yeah, if Volkov pulls off this win, I'll be quite surprised. He does have a nice little win streak. He's racking up to Alexander Volkov. Next up, we've got the co-main event: Shavkat Rakhmonov versus Machado Garry. With this matchup here, Shavkat's undefeated. Both guys are undefeated. So let's say his last fight took down Stephen Thompson, submitted him. That was the first time I think Stephen Thompson got submitted in the UFC. Submitted Jeff Neal. He had to dig really fucking deep in that fight to get that win against Jeff Neal. That was a war. Jeff Neal really did show some holes in Shavkat's game. He rocked him a couple of times, Shavkat. But yeah, got submitted at the end there by standing rear naked choke. So with Shavkat in this matchup here, like, he is good at striking, but he more resorts to wrestling, to be honest. And if he does fail those takedowns, I think he's gonna have to really, really dig deep in this matchup here against Ian Machado Garry. It is 5 rounds. With Shavkat, I think clinch is gonna be definitely key. You can get a clinch against Ian Machado Garry, use the knees and the elbows, and even try to get some takedowns off the cage if he does set up some traps against the cage. But Machado, he moves around a fair bit. It's gonna be hard to trap him against cage. Ian Machado, like, as much as Shavkat's a good striker, he showed some holes where he can get hit a fair bit too on the stand up. Machado is more of a guy who uses a jab and stays at range. He does have the reach advantage 274. Oh no, he doesn't actually. Fuck, okay. Shavkat's got the reach advantage 7-7 over 7-4. Alright, that's interesting. Both guys are similar in height too, 6'1 and 6'3, okay. Yeah, but Ian Machado will be more of a guy using his jab. Use a lot of low kicks like he did to Neil Magny. That is a big key to in this fight, I think, where Rakhmonov does like keep his lead leg out there, so that can get chopped up by Garry. Garry can use his jab as a rangefinder and constantly circle on the outside, making it frustrating for Shavkat and not being a stationary target for Shavkat. And just pick him apart. It might be like another Ian Machado versus Jeff Neal fight where he kind of just took his time and picked him apart with leg kicks and used his jab and a lot of 1-2s. He's fighting now to shoot the box too in Machado Garry. So if this fight does hit the ground, like, he did grapple a lot with MVP as well in that last fight. People expected be a strikers battle, but Machado did not want to risk that, which is fair. He is a modern underdog in this fight. And look, if Shavkat, I think Shavkat's going to struggle to get the takedowns in this fight. He could get it done, get some takedowns, but I think it's going to be hard. But yeah, clinch is definitely going to be key. Ian Machado working out to shoot the box. I think he'll do well to get out of a lot of bad positions on the ground. But I could be wrong. Who knows? Like, he could struggle to get off his back, and Shavkat will be a lot quicker to transition to the next position on the ground. And Ian Machado might struggle maybe on the ground, but I think he'll be fine. And I think his takedown defense is pretty good too. So a lot of people are not going to like this, but I'm going to go with Ian Garry. But it's going to be interesting because both of these guys are going to have to dig deep, really dig deep, and championship rounds are going to really matter in this fight. And yeah, it's just Shavkat's proved to himself like he can dig deep against that Jeff Neal fight. But sorry about the laugh and the wife's fucking cacking up background. So yeah, I think Ian Machado could get this done, to be honest. I think he may get the earlier rounds, like the first 2 rounds by picking them apart. But yeah, I don't know. Whoever wins this fight is definitely going to be a big threat against Belal Muhammad. So I'm going to go Ian Machado Garry with this one. I know a lot of people won't like it, but I think he'll get it done. But he's going to have to dig deep. But look, yes, a lot of the bullshit on the outside with people calling him a cuck, but you gotta give him respect for taking this fight against a killer like Shavkat. He's really putting everything on the line on this fight. So yeah, people going Rakhmonov with submission. I don't think it's gonna be that easy, man. But I'll be surprised. And 12% Machado Garry. Yeah, I'm gonna go Ian Garry on that fight. Next up, we've got the main event versus Alexandre Pantoja versus Kai Asakura. With this matchup here, Alexandre Pantoja here, he's starting to turn. He's almost 35, so he's starting to get into past his prime a little bit. Look, a lot of people thought that Steve Erceg won that fight, but it was a close fight. Alexandre Pantoja, his striking is okay, but he gets tagged up a lot when he pushes forward. Even though when he looks tired, he still pushes through. So he's got that never give up attitude on himself, and he will dig deep to get the wins. With this matchup here, a lot of the UFC is really pushing to get Pantoja out of there. Kai Asakura, for his debut fight here, getting a title fight against Pantoja, it's just, yeah, a lot of people don't like it, but I can understand. Like, Pantoja's kind of been through the whole division, and yeah, his takedowns were key against that Erceg fight, Royval fight. Takedowns were key. Same with Moreno fight, and even this fight here, I think takedowns definitely going to be key. Kai Asakura is more known for his striking there, but the contenders, the fights he has in Ryzen, do not add up to the same people that Pantoja has fought as well. So you want Archuleta, like he's way past his way past his prime there when he finished him. Kai did, and yeah, some of these guys, they're not the same, man. They're definitely not. Ryzen, look, I enjoy my Ryzen fights too, but they're not the same type of competitors compared to what Pantoja has been through against in the UFC. So Kai Asakura, more of a striker. He'll chop the leg and look for counters as well. But he does have his chin up high, but that won't really matter in this fight. Like, Pantoja does have some knockouts in this fight, but I don't think he will get a knockout in this one. He is definitely a threat there on the feet, but I think Alexandre Pantoja has proven that, you know, he can overextend his pressure striking with getting the takedown. So takedowns are key in this one. I think he will get the takedown and get a 5-round decision win against Kai Asakura. I think Asakura will struggle staying on the feet, and yeah, it's just, yeah, you can't count Pantoja out, but you know, we never know. This fight could be the end of it before Pantoja, even though he's getting old, but he could get counted. But yeah, he always finds a way to dig deep and get the takedowns of the fight too. And I think that's going to be key against Asakura. Kai's got a brother there fighting. I think Makuru, his name is. He's retired now. Yeah, so he's past his prime too. So yeah, I'm gonna go with Pantoja on this one, and a lot of people are going knockout with Asakura, which is understandable. He could look for the counter and knockout Pantoja, but easier said than done, to be honest. So Pantoja's going to dig deep, and takedowns will be key in this fight. So yeah, Pantoja's the pick here. Anyways, guys, I hope you enjoyed the breakdowns of this card here. We'll be back with Covington versus Joaquin Buckley card next week, the final card of the year. And like I said, hit the like, subscribe, and we'll be back next week with that. Cheers, guys.